we're exploring the remembrances, the 5 remembrances. And there is some tenderness in the exploration of these remembrances, these existential truths. It's a very intimate experience to make contact with them. And if you're new today, we've been examining the 2nd remembrance specifically, which says, I am of the nature to grow ill. I have not gone beyond this. And last week, we suggested that we change the pronoun from I to we. And I really like this because it reminds me that metta encourages us to shift from the language of you and me and us and them into the language of we. When we are well, it's easy to think about illness in a very abstract way. But when sickness comes, it's anything but abstract. When sickness comes, how do you relate to it? How do you respond to this truth? Do you push it away? Do you try to power through it? Do you indulge it? Some people allow illness to define who they are in a pejorative way. I am reduced to just this now. Illness can arrive quietly and slowly, or it can crash unexpectedly through the door. It can challenge our schedules, our work, our family dynamics, and even our identities, or maybe what we think of as our identities. A little while ago, a rough spot appeared on the top of my forehead. And they told me it was a basal cell carcinoma, cancer. And that is frightening. No, it was one of those moments that stopped me in my tracks. Kind of, put me in the moment, right in the moment kind of moments. And then right there, so immediately, here comes the resistance. No, 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 no. I don't want to deal with this. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. As if I was almost saying, don't you know who I am? I shouldn't have to deal with this kind of feeling, right? It's like holding up a wave, with your hand, like as if that can stop it. They were very quick to reassure me that this was not melanoma, which could be far worse. And it was caught early, which is really good. And they also pointed out, you're likely to get more of these. And so I am of the nature to grow ill. I haven't gone beyond this. And something that I found very, very helpful in a book by Frank Ostaseski, I'm going to put it in the chat so you'll have it, entitled The 5 Invitations. He writes about the relationship between pain and suffering. He writes that pain and suffering are 2 intimately related and yet uniquely different experiences. If we're alive, we're going to experience physical and emotional pain. And we all have different levels of tolerance for this. Where there's pain, there is no escape. But where there is suffering, we can do something about this. I did not want this experience. I didn't want it today. I don't want it tomorrow. I could feel the feelings of fear, anger, resentment. To whom I was resentful, I don't know. These were symptoms of suffering. And then judging the feelings. A better practitioner wouldn't have these feelings. Like, what? Of course. He writes in his book, and he puts it in bold. Pain plus suffering equals pain plus resistance equals suffering. Pain plus resistance equals suffering. If we can allow ourselves just this much to turn toward the pain of how it is, and that's not easy. There is a surrender in this. There is a letting go in this. And it can take courage. There's a humility in this. We don't hear the word humility in Buddhism very often. But this is a deep bow to how it is. And as I waited in the waiting room, I was surrounded by folks with bandages on their cheeks, on their foreheads, on their noses and arms and places I couldn't see. And I thought, here I am. Here we are. Physical vulnerability that we are sharing opens the heart. And when we suffer, we begin to understand the suffering of others more directly. And Buddha repeatedly emphasized that recognizing our shared vulnerability is what gives rise to karuna, to compassion. And this recognition expands the heart toward others who are struggling. I don't know if I would have seen the bandages as clearly as I saw them that day. A little side story. I'm in the treatment room and I'm told, oh, you're going to have lots and lots of time to wait. So I brought my tricycle magazine. I don't know if you guys know this magazine, but it's like here, this wonderful Buddhist magazine. So I'm there, I'm reading it, and then the doctor and the nurse come in, and I put it down, and they're looking at my head and getting ready to do whatever they're going to do, and then they start asking me all these questions about Buddhism. And I started to kind of engage in this question and answer, but then finally I said, guys, I know what you're trying to do here. You're trying to get me talking and get me distracted, and I need to be quiet. And the doctor said, oh, sure, no problem. Yeah, you want to do your Zen thing. I said, yeah, I want to do my Zen thing. 24, 36 hours later, you could change the bandage. And I felt such a hesitation to look at the rawness and the stitches and the scar. And my husband was helping me, and he looked at it and he went, oh, this is beautiful. Those stitches are so small and perfect. And that supported my ability to hold the wound with more tenderness and gratitude. Gratitude for the beautiful stitches that hold the wound as it heals. and patience for the time that the wound needs to heal. From a Buddhist perspective, illness is not viewed only as a loss or diminishment. It's also understood as a profound teacher of truth, impermanence. These bodies are changing all the time. Illness can dissolve the illusion that life happens somewhere in the future. Illness dismantles the way we think we are. But not just that, it can also reconstitute our relationship to bodies, minds, and hearts. It invites cultivation of the heart qualities, the Brahma Viharas. Loving kindness, metta, towards one's body, compassion, karuna, for pain and limitation, and sympathetic joy, mudita, for small moments of ease and comfort and health that we have, and equanimity, upekkha, which allows us to abide these disruptions, which we can count on. Thank you for listening.